What's up, everybody? This is the Hedge Mage, and I'm back again for another pauper video. This is, I think, the last video where I'm talking about a lot of the new commons that have been spoiled for the upcoming set, Murders at Karlov Manor. Today I'm going over my top 3 new green cards that are entering the format. As always, if you want to support the channel, if you could leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. And with that said, let's take a look at all these new cards. Alright, so coming in at number 3, I have Rubble Belt Maverick for 1 green. It is a human detective. When Rubble Belt Maverick enters the battlefield, you surveil 2. So if you don't know what surveil does, basically you get to look at a number of cards equal to the surveil value. In this case, it is 2. You may put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on top of your library in any order, so very similar to Scry, except instead of putting things at the bottom of your library, you get to put them into your graveyard. So it can be very important if you are a deck that is either playing out of your graveyard or wants a number of cards in there. And then has a second ability for 1 green. You can exile it from your graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. And it's a 1/1. So this card is honestly pretty decent. It does a lot for just being a 1 mana 1/1. The surveil side of it is an enters the battlefield ability, so that is something that can be abused or done multiple times by either bouncing it, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield, or blinking it. There's a lot of ways that you could replay its enter the battlefield ability. So it does, I think it is worth taking a look at it. Its second ability I don't actually think is very powerful. It reminds me of other cards that we don't really. I've seen a lot of other cards come into this format that basically you can exile them from your graveyard and put +1/+1 counters on it on other creatures, and I never really see a lot of them being played. However, this one does have an ETB ability that is quite nice. As it stands right now, I don't think there's a deck that could use this card, which is why I'm putting it at number 3, but I still think it is worth keeping an eye on. Coming in at number 2, I have Slime Against Humanity for 2 generic mana and a green. It is a sorcery. You get to create a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. Put X+1/+1 counters on it, where X is 2 plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are oozes or are named Slime Against Humanity. A deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity, meaning you aren't limited to 4 copies in your deck, which is pretty nuts. Like, this card is very strong. I'm honestly surprised that it is printed at common. It is 3 mana though, so you really don't want to miss your land drops, not to mention your first 2 turns. Basically, you want to be putting cards into your graveyard or exiling them at in some way that are named this card or are an ooze. There's not a whole lot of playable oozes, except for maybe Experiment 1 comes to mind, that are in the format currently. And there's a lot of hype around this card. I still remain somewhat skeptical about it. I do think it is very powerful. However, what the deck is actually going to be, and until I truly see that deck in action, I do have some skepticism around the card. There's definitely a lot of hype about it. A lot of people are really excited for this card, and it seems like it is going to spawn an entirely new archetype for the format, which is very exciting, and I'm really thrilled to see what's going to happen with that, though I do remain skeptical until I really see the deck in action, seeing as it is a 3 mana spell, so if you do not curve out and if you do not make your land drops, essentially, you may just end up losing to a faster deck. And that's just the reality of the situation is that it is rather slow at a three mana card. So you are gonna need ramp. You are gonna need to make sure that you make your land drops in order to make the most out of this card. On top of either putting cards in exile or cards in your graveyard, though it does stabilize really well against any graveyard hate. So it does have that going for it. Not to mention you can have any number of cards named this card, which is just it's pretty wild. Definitely excited to see where this card goes, though. All right, and my number one new green card for this set is Pick Your Poison for 1 green mana. It has 3 modes. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact, each opponent sacrifices an enchantment, or each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. Now, this card honestly does a lot for 1 mana, and though I don't necessarily see this as something you are going to be running in your main board, it is a great, very mana efficient piece of sideboard tech that you can use against multitude of matchups. It deals with artifacts, it deals with enchantments, it deals with creatures with flying. Though the last mode you probably won't use very much, but there are, as we've discussed previously in my videos, so many different decks where artifacts and enchantments matter. All That Glitters is a great example. Boggles would be a great example. So this is something you might want to bring in against those. The only real downside I see to this card is the fact that it is green. And in the meta, especially the top meta, there's not a lot of decks that are actually running green. Hopefully, with this new slime archetype, we might be seeing green have a bigger presence than it does right now, at least in the top end of the overall meta in the format. Either way, this is definitely, I think, one of the best cards, if not the best green card to come out in this set. But that's going to do it for me for this video. What do you guys think? Would you rate Pick Your Poison as the number one green card in the set? I know a lot of people are really excited about the slime card. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below, and I will see you all next time.